Now, it's been a year since journalist Jamal Khashoggi entered Saudi Arabia's consulate in Istanbul to get documents he needed for his upcoming marriage. He never came out. Investigations by Turkish officials indicate that Khashoggi was killed and dismembered by a Saudi hit squad. Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman says he takes responsibility, but he denies ordering the killing. Khashoggi's fiancee is demanding answers from Riyadh and the Crown Prince.
It is meaningful that this was broadcast close to the October 2nd date. It sounds to me like it was something that was said to weaken or lessen public pressure. Secondly, if that is not the case, and it was carried out under the Crown Prince's responsibility, then we would have the right to ask him about the details. Then why was Jamal killed, and why has the public not been informed about the death until now? I am talking about the details. For instance, we don't know where the body is. His funeral prayers have not been performed. There is no burial. If he carries full responsibility, then I believe we should be able to ask these questions. In that case, Mohammed bin Salman should give an answer.
Right, we've got Andrew Simmons now, our correspondent who's outside the public prosecutor's office in Istanbul. We've also got Jamal Elshayyal. He's outside the consulate itself, the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. And Jamal, of course, this is where the crime took place. Many people and many groups now determined that this crime will not be forgotten.
They are indeed, and they're coming to organize a memorial service, Martin, which they're calling a moment of unsilence. In it, they're trying to essentially send a defiant message that not only will this crime not be forgotten, but they will continue to call for justice to be delivered in order for the perpetrators of this murder to be held accountable, but also to get answers to questions that remain unanswered, like where are the remains of Jamal Khashoggi's body, but also to call for protection of other journalists, particularly in a region that is witnessing a lot of oppression and crackdown on a free press. And that is one of the messages that Jamal Khashoggi's legacy is based on. It is that free press and the need for there to be people who speak truth to power. Aside from this memorial service, which will have speakers including human rights activists, including friends and colleagues of Jamal Khashoggi, as well as other figures like the Nobel Prize winner Tawakkul Karman from Yemen and others, there will also be an unveiling of a memorial stone in this green square, which is just in front of the consulate. And that's significant for a number of reasons. Firstly, obviously, it is at least a place to remember and pay respects to Jamal Khashoggi, the last place where he was seen alive as he was entering that building, particularly as there is no grave for him because we don't know where the remains are. But also it is an insistence from his friends, loved ones, and those who want to continue in his footsteps that there is a physical reminder of the slain journalist, considering that the Saudi authorities, there are reports that they have sold the consulate building behind us, so its future is still unclear. So that is what's going to take place today. No doubt there will be a call once again that justice must be delivered and those who are responsible for the murder of Jamal Khashoggi must be held accountable.
All right, Jamal, thank you for that. Let's go to Andrew now. Andrew Simmons, who's outside the public prosecutor's office. And Andrew, so many questions remain unanswered. We've seen the fiancée directing her questions specifically at Riyadh and at the Crown Prince himself. What are the Turkish authorities likely to do to follow up on those?
I think there's a lot of sympathy for Hatice Cengiz' view expressed there earlier because there is a solemn atmosphere, obviously 7 kilometers away where Jamal is right now in front of the consulate. Here at the court complex, this houses the Prosecutor General's office and his colleagues, his prosecutors, who've been working flat out during this past year with preparation for indictments for the suspects. There are 15 here in Turkey on the list and another 3, an advance team that went to Riyadh and then back in preparation for this crime. A lot of the attention recently has been focused on what preparations were made, clear evidence in leaked phone conversations that there was a state organised plan. As soon as Jamal Khashoggi went into that consulate on September the 28th, and then returned on October the 2nd, in the gap between that, a massive operation had been planned. When I say massive, I don't necessarily mean on the ground, but in Riyadh, at state level, with Saud al-Qahtani, a close advisor to Mohammed bin Salman, actually organising things. He's not been seen for many months. It's thought, it's rumoured, rather, that he's been killed, poisoned to death. Was that a state murder? If it did indeed take place, could this be following a pattern where people inside Saudi, influential people inside Saudi who may have evidence on the wrong things, are eliminated? That's unclear. But as far as the investigation goes, it is complete. It does, in the views of the prosecutors here, conclude that there was murder, and those murder charges could be directed at 15 people, or at least some of them. In particular, there is an indictment, we know, on Maher Abdelaziz Matreb, who was the leader on the ground. Now, this man, who was a close advisor, a close aide to Mohammed bin Salman and his former bodyguard, very deep in the intelligence world, and the intelligence world now has kicked back with all the evidence, tapes, bugged tapes, spyware in phones. You've heard it all, more or less, spread out over a year, and it's conclusive what happened and what was organised, despite all the attempts by Saudi Arabia to cover this crime up. And also one important factor, and that's the court case, or what is described by many observers as a secret operation, really, to cover things up. That court case has 11 people on the indictment list and 5 facing the death penalty. And a lot goes to say for wait and watch now. Turkey isn't so hopeful there can be an extradition or any international inquiry. Agnes Kalamard wants that international inquiry and wants justice done. She believes that Mohammed bin Salman is responsible. But where do we go from here? The fear is nowhere in terms of international justice.